Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new documentary, Rita Moreno, Just a Girl Who Decided to Go For It, which actually comes from this shirt that she found and really loves it, and was a big set piece later in the film, so that was a fun little detail, because it's a pretty long title. It was a decision, but it makes a lot of sense if you watch the film, which I hope you do, because this is a fantastic documentary from director Mariam Perez Riera, as it tells the life and times of Rita Moreno, one of the most influential Latina actors out there. And this film goes from coast to coast, from when she was a little girl coming to America, really learning the language and trying to make things work, performing at like 6 years old, all the way up to 87 years old and still working, because she's going to be a West Side Story. It was such a wonderful little thing to see her with Steven Spielberg working on the new West Side Story in like clips here, and it's just like, geez, she's still going. And I also found out that she's friends with Morgan Freeman, who's still going. Except he's in a lot more things and probably getting paid a lot more money. But that's besides the point. This film is very much your standard documentary that shows her life, and you get a real deep dive into it, but it's so inspired. There's so much energy and life in this film because that's her. And I think it's important for a documentary to capture the spirit of its subject. And this documentary certainly did, because Rita Moreno is an amazing woman. Like, she's still going at 87, having a ball, making an impact. All this energy and influence and personality, and shows no signs of letting up. She's still dancing around, she's still living life. And you get that from the very start with this documentary opening up with her birthday, and it's a costume party. It was Cuban themed, and you hear her cursing, you hear her just having a ball, being being that little kid inside, which is a big part of her, is having that childlike feel of energy and wonder about things. You see her dancing and being the life of the party, and that's her. And I love when a documentary can set things up in a non-traditional way. It's like, we didn't get all that told to us. You see it in action. You see her being able to show those things in a natural way. And you really jump in and you realize how much of a role model she is for like Eva Longoria and Lin-Manuel Miranda. And you get this perspective on like, she didn't really have a role model. Rita Hayworth was the closest one, and basically they hid her background. And she had to go in and she played all the indigenous people, all of the Asian people, all of the not white people, and just throw on a accent that nobody cared if it was accurate or not. And that was her life early on. And this film really showed like she was honest, like she gave in to these roles at times in her life because that was it. And she's like, I had to do it, or I didn't work and I didn't get experience. She told of some really dark things of like her being molested and like inappropriately touched and raped in this documentary, and it goes there. And you also see aspects of her that aren't exactly the best thing, and how it's like she was in a relationship and, you know, she can still be a bit more on the childlike side of things and have that kind of energy, and loves that about her. And she was really honest about her marriage to Lenny Gordon, who wasn't what it was all cracked up to be. And you really get that in this film, and I appreciate it that she leaves it all out there. It makes for a much more compelling story than this glossed over kind of perspective on her life. You have a mix of footage of her like sitting in like this big throne like setup and her speaking right to the camera, and you get so much from that because it's her speaking from the heart to the audience. You get her in her dressing room watching the news and seeing her perspectives on things. You see her setting up for her party, and obviously you get all the footage of all of her previous work, and you really get to get engrossed in it. You see all of her acceptance speeches and stuff like that, including her like record short one for the Academy Award for West Side Story. And you get to see all of that in this film, and that bigger picture of her perspective on abortion and speaking up against sexual assault and those kinds of things, because they mean something to her. And she is a very active advocate and activist who really tries to make sure that those things are at the forefront, and she's a part of it. So she's a part of it. This film portrayed them in a meaningful way, and we see that aspect of her. And like I said before, she talks about some serious things, and one of the most compelling things is her relationship with Marlon Brando and how toxic it was. Because like, Brando was a guy, and hearing those kinds of stories is really interesting. And throughout this whole entire film, you really get to understand who this woman is in a really meaningful, well-crafted, and poignant way. And that's why I think this is a really special documentary, and you should go check this out because she's too amazing of a person not to hear her story. But those are my thoughts on Rita Moreno, just a girl who decided to go for it. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.